In the heart of Madagascar there is a dense and mysterious forest known as Andronomandroso, a place where the trees are said to whisper. To the untrained ear, it seems like just the rustling of leaves in the wind, but those who have spent enough time there tell a chilling tale. The trees, they say, are not ordinary. They are ancient sentinels with memories that stretch back for centuries, and they are burdened with knowledge that no mortal was meant to hear. The story of the whispering trees begins with an ancient Malagasy legend. Long ago, the island was home to a powerful and mystical tribe, the Imarina, who worshipped the spirits of the forest. The elders believed that the trees held the souls of the ancestors, who spoke through the rustling of the leaves. It was said that the most sacred trees, an elusive species of towering baobab trees, held the very essence of life itself, connecting the living with the dead. One fateful day, a young, ambitious hunter named Maro sought the wisdom of the trees. He had heard rumors of an ancient tree, known as the tsingy, deep within the forest that could grant its seeker unimaginable power. Eager to prove himself, Maro ventured into the heart of Andronomandroso, determined to find the legendary tree. Little did he know, the forest had its own secrets, and those who sought its power often paid a terrible price. Maro's journey was difficult and treacherous. The deeper he ventured into the forest, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. The trees, massive and twisted, seemed to close in around him, their branches blocking out the sun. The air grew thick, and the silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional rustling of leaves. As he wandered further, he began to hear strange sound, whispers that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. At first, he thought it was the wind, but soon the whispers began to form words, echoing in his ears. "Turn back, young one," the voice whispered. "The forest does not welcome those who seek power." The whispers grew louder, more urgent. They seemed to come from the very trees themselves. They spoke of forgotten promises and broken oaths. The voices were ancient, filled with sorrow and anger. Yet Maro, driven by his hunger for power, ignored the warnings and pressed on. After days of wandering, Maro finally reached the fabled tsingy, an enormous tree that towered over the forest, its bark black as night and its roots twisted and gnarled like the hands of 1,000 souls. As he stood before it, the whispers became deafening, swirling around him like a storm. He knelt before the tree and begged for its power, promising to honor the forest's ancient spirits. The wind howled through the branches, and for a moment, the world seemed to stop. Then, the tree's bark split open, revealing a hollow within. Inside, glowing with an eerie light, was an intricately carved stone relic, a dark, polished stone that seemed to pulse with an unnatural energy. Without hesitation, Maro took the relic and placed it in his hand. At that moment, the forest seemed to exhale, and the whispers grew into a cacophony of voices, all chanting in unison. "Now, you are ours," the voices cried. "Now, you will carry our curse." Maro felt a coldness wash over him, a dark force that seeped into his veins filled his soul with dread. But it was too late. As he clutched the relic, the ground beneath him trembled, and the trees began to writhe as if alive. The whispers turned to screams, their sorrow and rage echoing through the forest. The tsingy had granted him power, but at a terrible cost. The ancient trees were bound to him now, and he was cursed to walk the earth as a vessel for their wrath. Maro returned to his village, but he was no longer the same. His once bright eyes were now hollow, and his skin had taken on an unnatural pallor. As he spoke, his voice was no longer his own. It was as if the voices of the trees had merged with his own, whispering through him. The villagers recoiled in fear as Maro recounted his journey. He spoke of the power he had gained and the price he had paid. And yet, as he spoke, the trees outside the village began to groan and shake, their branches creaking as if they were alive. That night, the whispers reached their peak. The trees surrounding the village began to move, their trunks twisting and bending in unnatural ways. They reached toward the village, their branches scraping against the rooftops, their roots tearing through the earth. Maro tried to flee, but the trees followed him, their whispers growing louder and more frantic. The villagers screamed as the trees closed in, their roots ripping through the ground, pulling the homes and people into the earth. In the chaos, the relic Maro had stolen fell from his grasp, and the whispers turned to a deafening roar. With a final, desperate cry, Maro collapsed into the earth, swallowed by the very forest he had sought to control. The next morning, the village was gone, vanished, as if it had never existed. The tree, twisted and gnarled, stood silent once more, but the whispers did not fade. They remained, echoing through the forest, calling to anyone who would listen. Over time, the forest became a forbidden place, a place where no one dared to tread. The locals spoke of the curse of the tsingy and warned anyone who would listen, never seek the power of the trees, for those who do are doomed to become part of the forest's eternal hunger. It is said that if you venture into the heart of the forest at night, you can still hear the whisper, soft, mournful, and filled with rage. They speak of Maro, the lost hunter, and of all who seek the forest's power, urging them to turn back before it is too late. Some say that the trees still call to those who pass too close, beckoning beckoning them into forest, whispering promises of power and glory. But those who listen for too long are never seen again. Lost forests curse, their souls bound forever to the trees. And so, the whispering trees of Madagascar remain, a living testament to the price of ambition and the power of the ancient spirits that dwell within the forest. Their whispers continue, a warning to all who dare to seek the truth hidden within the shadows of the trees. Don't forget to like, share, and drop a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a tale. Until next time, keep the spirit alive.